Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Alfredo Artiles. I'm the Dean of the Graduate College at ASU. In partnership with the Council of Graduate Schools, we're proud to host today's event. I want to acknowledge CGS President Dr. Suzanne Ortega, who is joining us this morning, as well as Dr. Jennifer Kayson, whose team has led a lot of the work on knowledge mobilization we have been doing for the last year and a half at ASU. Before I get started, I wanted to call attention to the materials you have. Make sure that you review them. Some of them are related to the graduate college initiatives. And also, you have a program for the event, as well as a feedback form. Please take a minute before you leave to give us feedback. We'll collect it at the end of the event. Today's session will address the growing need for researchers to produce knowledge about problems that matter and the attendant requirement to generate research that makes a difference. These demands have emerged in the age of knowledge power. Today's expectation is not only to possess knowledge, but also to use it with a demonstrable impact. At a time when debates about the notion and roles of evidence are taking place in scientific and public spheres, knowledge use for impact is indeed a major imperative for universities and for the ways researchers are prepared. We will share with you today the ASU Graduate College's initiative to respond to these demands through the use of knowledge mobilization. But before I describe our work in the I will briefly locate our work in the historical trends that have transformed the demands and expectations of researchers. At least 3 trends have shaped how researchers are expected to approach the production and usage of knowledge. First, we're living in an era of unprecedented knowledge production. Whereas it took about 100 years in the early 20th century to double the amount of knowledge, the advent of globalization and technological innovations such as the internet have reduced this time to about 12 hours. As a commentator recently stated, there has never been a time in human history when we have searched for so much data, information, and knowledge. At the same time, there has never been a time when we have gathered so much information that is useful but not used. Second, as Donald Stokes' analysis suggested a number of years ago, the role of research production in relation to technological progress and societal transformation has also shifted. This means researchers are expected to produce basic and applied research while making research knowledge accessible, engaging, and impactful. This requirement takes on a greater urgency at a global level, given the rise of inequality across regions of the world and what the UNESCO report on the social sciences described as knowledge divides. The report findings suggest that, quote, without conscious and coordinated effort, the drift of the global science landscape is towards fragmentation, lack of pluralism, and estrangement between scientific endeavor and social needs. And third, these trends have created conditions for a paradigm shift in the preparation of researchers. The traditional ivory tower model of higher education, in which researchers are solely concerned with producing knowledge to advance our understanding of the subject through a single disciplinary lens, is no longer viable. As Karl Popper remarked almost 60 years ago, we're not students of some subject matter, but students of problems. And problems may cut right across the borders of any subject matter of discipline. Indeed, the demand for use-oriented research has increased significantly. Knowledge mobilization has emerged as a useful tool to engage productively with these trends and demands. Knowledge mobilization marks the link between knowledge production and social change, between the academy and the public it serves. Moreover, knowledge mobilization also captures the set of concepts and practices that optimize access and use of knowledge and creative work. That is, knowledge mobilization transcends the traditional, proper technical implementation of research. It also compels researchers to be mindful of knowledge user communities so that their knowledge is accessible, used, and impactful to solve real-life problems. There is a growing interest on knowledge mobilization. After pioneering work in Canada and Europe, several efforts have become increasingly visible in the United States. Examples include CGS's Grad Impact Initiative. I trust that Suzanne will share more information with us today about that. The Knowledge Mobilization Initiative at York University, the Alan Alda Center for Communicating Science at Stony Brook University, the Research Impact Consortium of 12 universities in Canada, and the Engagement Scholarship Consortium. These efforts vary in their goals and scope. Their purpose for communicating science might vary from increasing our understanding of the science related to a problem, to influencing people's opinions, behavior, and policy preferences, to engaging alternative perspectives about science related to important social issues, as a means to find solutions to societal problems that affect everyone. Despite this variability, most initiatives share a commitment to communicate scientific knowledge for maximizing impact. In short, then, we have seen that knowledge mobilization is an emergent institutional infrastructure designed to maximize the impact of academic research on public policy and professional practice. The ASU Graduate College started recently to infuse knowledge mobilization in its professional development programmatic efforts. Our work is situated in the unprecedented project to transform American higher education that is taking place at ASU. Our university has reframed its education model to be defined by its adaptability, its commitment to innovation, scalability, and technology-enabling investments. Our pledge to build excellence in diversity and inclusion is an unprecedented social experiment. Equally important, the university's design aspirations permeate the work of the Graduate College in knowledge mobilization, particularly the concern with transforming society, fusing intellectual disciplines, and social embeddedness. I should note that our knowledge mobilization initiative is mindful of the institutional context of knowledge production at ASU, and thus, it has benefited from the culture that these design aspirations have forged at ASU over the last 15 years. Prominent in this new culture are the attention to interdisciplinarity, tackling problems of social significance, and research for impact. To illustrate, the total value of active sponsor projects from single units between 2003 and 2014 increased 61%, while the value of projects involving more than one unit increased in the same time period 259%. The postdoctoral fellows featured in the video you will see in a few minutes, and all the panelists embody the distinctive cultural identity of ASU. Although the Graduate College Knowledge Mobilization Initiative cannot take credit for this individual's strong commitment to knowledge mobilization, their achievements constitute a compelling testimony about the legacy of the ASU design aspirations and the values and practices that characterize our initiative. Our knowledge mobilization work strives to break down institutional walls, particularly disciplinary borders. We're creating opportunities for graduate students and postdoctoral fellows to participate in interdisciplinary learning ecologies in which it is acceptable to be comfortable with uncertainty. Or, as MacArthur Fellow Liz Lerman, who is actually there dancing, put it, to engage in interdisciplinary learning activities in which it is customary being comfortable with discomfort. By assembling groups from disparate disciplines, we anticipate these individuals will create a sort of what Peter Gallison described as trading zones, the processes of interdisciplinary collaboration that scientists construct to communicate and solve problems. Sustained interactions with fellow researchers that do not share theoretical or methodological perspectives, or even disciplinary affinities, create productive learning dissonances as participants labor to make their research accessible and usable and maximize the impact of their work. The requirement for what Crow and Davars describe as mutual intelligibility, in this case across knowledge producers and users, is a central requirement of knowledge mobilization work. For this purpose, we are offering professional and career development opportunities to graduate students and postdoctoral fellows through seminars called the Knowledge Mobilization Studio and PFX. We're also creating incentives to recognize and disseminate knowledge mobilization efforts with the KM Awards. And we're getting ready to launch Traveling Knowledge Stories. We can share more details about these efforts and CGS's Grant Impact Initiative during the Q&A portion of today's event. What differentiates our knowledge mobilization initiative is its interdisciplinary culture and commitment to innovation. We animate participants to cross disciplinary and paradigmatic borders, even beyond the academy, since universities lost their monopoly as the exclusive site of knowledge production. Grow comfortable about communicating with audiences that do not share standpoints or jargon. Take risks when representing their knowledge, and leverage serendipity in their knowledge mobilization efforts. Before I introduce the panel, I will show a short video to introduce this idea of knowledge mobilization and bring the concept to life with two stories from postdoctoral fellows working at ASU. The ASU Graduate College continually improves the resources we provide to our graduate students and postdoctoral fellows so that they have the knowledge, dispositions, and skills required to succeed in the 21st century. The ASU Graduate College strives to equip graduate students and postdoctoral fellows with transferable skills that are needed in today's career markets. We are concerned with the "so what" question about researchers' labor and the knowledge they produce. Why would or should people outside the academy think that research findings matter? What difference is research making in people's lives or in reducing problems or challenges of social significance? Knowledge mobilization is concerned with making the insights and solutions discovered by researchers accessible and usable. How can we document that such knowledge made an impact on the lives of these people? The stories you're about to see illustrate what knowledge mobilization looks like in real life.
The problem that we try to tackle with our work is how can we improve fishing sustainability and also improve or at least maintain the livelihoods of fishermen. Small-scale fisheries are poorly regulated. They incur a lot of what is called bycatch, and bycatch is any animal that gets caught in a fishing net that wasn't intended to be captured. And in Baja, where I work, a lot of the bycatch includes endangered species such as sea turtles, sharks, whales. What really inspired this work for me was when I was a master's student at the University of Florida. I was studying sea turtle biology and I was tracking the movements of sea turtles. You have to look into the eyes of a sea turtle. There's something so spiritual about it. This is an animal that's been around for 200 million years. Over the course of a 2-week span, I ended up tracking countless turtles to their deaths. And these turtles were ending up drowning in fishing nets. One day a fisherman came and brought me a turtle that we had been tracking. And I know he could have sold that and gotten a lot of money for that, but instead wanted to bring it to me. And so I looked at that as an opportunity to engage fishermen and bring them into my research project and make them essentially become part of our team and help us design different solutions that can protect turtles, but also that can improve their livelihoods. And so one day we were out catching sea turtles and tracking sea turtles, middle of the day, and I saw a sea turtle swim right up to a net, noticed the net, and turned right around. And so that led to my idea to place lights on fishing nets. The LEDs illuminate the net at night, and so it provides a visual cue for the sea turtle to see that net and then avoid becoming entangled in the net. Simply by putting these lights on fishing nets, we caught 50% fewer sea turtles and 95% fewer sharks. What I found though from my PhD research was the batteries only lasted 1 to 2 weeks. And so for the average fisherman, that would have been 200 to 400 AA batteries potentially per week. So what I did was I teamed up with ASU engineers who specialized in solar power and kinetic energy, and I basically asked them, how can we develop a solution to power these lights with renewable energy? That has really helped me mobilize my knowledge, because if I was at a smaller school or a school that didn't advocate for interdisciplinary research like ASU, it would be much harder to do this work. This is the future of fisheries. In 50 years from now, I can imagine every coastal community on this planet fishing with solar-powered nets.
Given my background in kinesiology, I learned a lot about exercise and exercise physiology and the importance of being active in order to maintain health and reduce your risk for diabetes. Energy in equals energy out. And so you look at a problem like obesity and diabetes and just think, man, why can't they exercise more and eat less? This would solve the problem. The problem that we address with our research is diabetes risk in Latino youth and families. Not a whole lot of work has been done around diabetes prevention for the family, specifically for Latino families. Latino youth are disproportionately burdened by diabetes. They are the most insulin-resistant subgroup. Early in 2012, we had actually started partnering with the YMCA to test this intervention. It was a diabetes prevention intervention for Latino adolescents. This was a rigorous clinical trial, and so a very controlled environment, but we did find that the program did lead to significant improvements in diabetes risk. Our work is really important in that we take our diabetes prevention programs and we adapt it to the culture. Out of our 160 participants, over 50% of them were coming from Maryvale. As soon as you step into Maryvale, you feel the culture. It's still a close-knit, connected community where the Hispanic Latino culture is prevalent, and one of the critical values for that culture is family. And so we really saw this need to take this program sort of out of the confines of this rigor and this clinical trial and move it to the community where it's needed. So Viva Maryvale is a family-centered diabetes prevention program for Latino families in Maryvale, Arizona. And it is conducted in partnership with some wonderful community folks here in the Valley, starting with the Valley of the Sun YMCA, who really lends their expertise in fitness instruction, and they serve as the site for the project. Patients are identified and enrolled into the program. They participate in a pre-intervention assessment, which is led by our team here at ASU, and then they enter this 12-week lifestyle intervention, where they go to nutrition education class for one time a week for 60 minutes, and the parents must attend. And there they learn things about fats and carbs, and they set family goals. And then 3 times a week, they go to a physical activity session, which is led by trained physical activity instructors at the YMCA. And then once the 12-week program is done, we send them back to the medical provider so that they can see their results, talk about their progress through the program, and establish a future plan of care. I think our knowledge exchange with our participants is bidirectional. That feedback is critical for guiding the development of the intervention. We've seen significant reductions in diabetes risk in our adults. For our youth, we've also seen significant reductions in their body composition. And then as a whole, we've seen this improvement in quality of life. We know that there are other vulnerable communities like Maryvale, and we know that the need for diabetes prevention is also statewide. So our vision is that we can reach these communities in other areas throughout the state. To me, knowledge mobilization means taking the knowledge and the research that is generated here in the academic institution, taking it out to the community. For us, the power in our knowledge mobilization is through partnership. And so partnering with the other organizations and community stakeholders who can help us get this knowledge to the folks, get it from the research to the ground and to the folks who are going to use it.